This sound, this phone, it defined an era. For a time, it was everywhere. It was unbreakable. It was king. But how did a company that once accounted for 4% of an entire nation's GDP, a brand that was synonymous with the mobile phone itself, suddenly find itself on the brink of irrelevance? What if I told you the story of Nokia doesn't start with a circuit board, but with a piece of paper? That this global tech icon was born in 1865 in the forests of Finland. As a single paper mill, this is not just a business story. This is a 160-year epic of survival, reinvention, and a constant fight for the future. Strap in, because today we're tracing the incredible journey of Nokia. Our story begins not with a visionary tech genius, but with a mining engineer named Frederick Idestam. In 1865, he established a wood pulp mill on the Tamakoski Rapids in Tampere, in what was then the Russian Empire's Grand Duchy of Finland. His business was simple: paper. Just 3 years later, he opened a second mill near a town with better hydropower resources, a town called Nokia, by the Nokian Virta River. And in 1871, the company officially became Nokia AB. But Nokia wasn't destined to be just a paper company. Enter Leo Mechelin, who pushed the company into the then revolutionary world of electricity generation. Meanwhile, other players were entering the scene. The Finnish Rubber Works, making galoshes and tires, and the Finnish Cable Works. For decades, these three entities operated side by side, eventually intertwining. They were all drawn to the Nokia area for one crucial resource: power. Finally, in 1967, the three companies formally merged, creating the modern Nokia Corporation. So, what did the new Nokia Corporation make? Everything. From the tires on your car and the boots on your feet, to the cables carrying electricity and even military equipment. They were a sprawling industrial conglomerate, but deep within this giant, a new seed was being planted: an electronics division. The newly merged Nokia began dabbling in electronics, sometimes at a loss. But a breakthrough came in the 70s with the Nokia DX200, a digital switch for telephone exchanges. This was the boring but essential backbone that would establish Nokia in telecoms. The real game changer started in 1979 with a joint venture called Mobira Oy. Their first product, the Mobira Senator, in 1982. But this wasn't a phone you put in your pocket. This was a car phone, weighing a whopping 9.8 kilograms, 22 pounds. Then, in 1987, came a device that would change Nokia's destiny, the Mobira Cityman 900. It was one of the first handheld mobiles. Still, it weighed 800 grams and cost a fortune. But it got its iconic break when Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev was photographed using one to call Moscow from Helsinki. Overnight, it was nicknamed the Gorba and became the ultimate status symbol. Nokia was now in the mobile business, but the world was about to standardize, and Nokia was poised to help build it. In the 90s, under new CEO Jorma Ollila, Nokia made a fateful decision. It sold off all its non-telecom businesses, the paper, the tires, the boots, to focus entirely on telecommunications. This was a huge bet, and it paid off spectacularly. They threw their weight behind a new digital standard called GSM. On the 1st of July 1991, the world's first GSM call was made using a Nokia phone. The revolution had begun. What followed was a parade of icons. The Nokia 1011, the first mass-produced GSM phone, the Nokia 2100 series, which gave us the iconic Nokia tune, and then the legends, the Nokia 3210 and 3310 indestructible, with legendary battery life and the addictive Game Snake. They weren't just phones, they were cultural touchstones. Nokia's marketing was genius. The slogan, "Connecting People," wasn't about technology, it was about emotion. By 1998, Nokia had overtaken Motorola to become the world's #1 mobile phone maker. At its peak in 2007, it held an unimaginable 49.4% of the global smartphone market. It was a superpower. But empires are most vulnerable when they feel most secure. The 9th of January 2007, Steve Jobs walks onto a stage and pulls an iPhone out of his pocket. In that moment, the rules of the game changed forever. The iPhone wasn't just a new phone, it was a new concept, a rectangle with a screen where the software was the star. Nokia, the hardware king, was caught off guard. They were so focused on making better hardware, more durable phones, better cameras, that they failed to see that the very definition of a phone was changing. Internally, things were fraying. The company had a vast, confusing portfolio of phones. Its internal culture, once a strength, became plagued by bureaucracy and an inability to react quickly. In a desperate gamble, Nokia's new CEO, Stephen Elop, famously wrote a memo comparing the company to a man standing on a burning platform. The lifeboat he chose? A partnership with Microsoft to use the Windows Phone operating system. It was a bet that failed. The Windows Phone ecosystem couldn't compete with Apple's iOS or Google's Android. In 2014, the unthinkable happened. Microsoft bought Nokia's mobile phone business for over $7 billion. For most of the world, it was the end of Nokia. But this is not where the story ends. Remember, Nokia has been reinventing itself for over 150 years. The company that was left after the sale still had two incredibly valuable things: its name and its immense treasure trove of patents. Nokia went back to its roots. Not paper, but infrastructure. It focused entirely on what it now does best: building the networks that power our world. It became a B2B technology leader in networking. They acquired Alcatel-Lucent, including the legendary Bell Labs, the birthplace of the transistor, the laser, and the Unix operating system. Today, Nokia is a leader in 5G technology and is even working on deploying the first cellular network on the moon. The phones you see today with the Nokia brand are made by a licensed partner, HMD Global. The king of the consumer market is dead. Long live the king of the infrastructure that connects us all. So, the story of Nokia is the ultimate business thriller. From paper to rubber, from cables to car phones, from global domination to a spectacular fall, and finally, to a phoenix-like rise from the ashes. It's a 160-year masterclass in adaptation. What other company can say it has lived through the Industrial Revolution and is now helping to build the metaverse? What was your first Nokia phone? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to hear about another company with a crazy hidden history, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Until next time, thanks for watching.